Good morning, everybody. This is our scam awareness webinar. I'm Stephanie Turner. I work for Home Instead as Business Development Manager. I work for 3 franchises, which is Ascot, Camberley, Wakenham, Farnborough, Farnham and Fleet and Watford. And today we're going to go through how to keep yourself safe against ever-increasing dangers of scams and fraudulent activity. So a little bit of background about Home Instead. We are an award-winning local home care provider. So we offer domiciliary, so hourly care, living care and respite care to the elderly. We can help with dementia care. It will cover companionship, home help, personal care, and our care professionals will go into our clients' houses and help them live independently for as long as they possibly can and safely as well. These are just a few photos of our lovely clients and our care professionals. Obviously, they do create very tight bonds with our clients and vice versa. And we do also have a few reviews there as well from clients saying obviously the level of help that they get is lovely and the support that they have they're very happy with, which is always great to hear. So obviously, as we work with the elderly, we are in a great place to talk about this message. Unfortunately, the elderly are targeted a lot with fraudulent activity and scam activity. So as a company, we employ around 10,000 care professionals. This is Home Instead, within the UK, and we deliver over 10 million hours of care to the elderly people in their own homes. So, we have experience and have heard of stories. Most people would have heard of some sort of fraudulent activity. They'll know someone that's been affected by this. But we have also been targeted, our clients have been targeted. And really this is to signpost how you can stop this, who you reach out to, if you have been identified as someone who has experienced fraud or scam behaviour. So we'll go through frauds and scams and statistics of the fraud, the psychology that people use to, worm their way in, and how you can protect yourself. So Citizens Advice have recently done a survey that shows that almost 72% of people surveyed have been targeted by scammers over a 2-year period. And over a third of these people have been targeted 5 or more times, just showing how, you think you've sort of dodged one and you've sussed it, and actually they come up with something, even more intelligent than the time before. Fraud accounts for over 40% of all crime today. This is due to the increase in technology. They're getting smarter, and it's easier to do now because they can hacking on computers and devices. So there's 4.6 million fraud offences per year, and of those offences, over half of the people aged 65 and over believe they've been targeted of a scam. Therefore, this is why this is quite close to us as we deal with the elderly, and we know that they are more vulnerable. So since COVID, there have been massive changes in the crime that is committed against individuals. So before COVID, there was a lot more in-person crime, I suppose you would call it. However, since 2020, burglary has dropped massively, vehicle offences have dropped, and so has robbery. However, fraud has continued to rise and has increased by 25%, just showing how easy it is to become a victim of scam or fraudulent behaviour. So the National Crime Agency states that the amount that is scammed from the UK is estimated at about £25 to £50 a second. So that means by the end of today's talk, that is roughly £75,000 to £150,000, which is a huge amount of money. And when you look at it like that, okay, yes, it just looks like a figure, but if you then apply it to yourself, that is potentially, even £50 to some people. Most people, especially now in a cost of living crisis, is a lot of money, and you want to do whatever you can to protect the money that you've earned and quite rightly earned. So for us, obviously, like I've said before, this is very close to us due to the fact that we work in a sector that deals with the elderly and older people. And unfortunately, older people become targets for scams and fraudulent behaviour and activity. And it's due to a few different contributing factors. So there's isolation and loneliness. As people get older, unfortunately, their partners may pass away, leaving them to live by themselves. They might have family that lives further away, meaning that they're not there to check on them all the time. Um, Older people tend to be a little bit more financially stable. They might have come into their pension. They don't have so many outgoings as when you are part of the working population. They are also often more trusting of people. They, especially if we think about what we do in terms of our role here at Home Instead, these people are trusting us to go into their house, look after them. They're in their own home. There's all their property and the things that are meaningful for them, and therefore they are trusting of these people. And again, that can lead to not in terms of care, but in terms of if they are to be targeted for scams, they naturally will be more trusting because they tend to put their trust in other people. We also have a decline in cognitive function. For example, we have a lot of clients that have dementia, and this can lead to poor decision making. There can be confusion. They're not sure what the best decision to make is at the time. And clients with dementia will be preyed upon because of the fact that they may forget the conversation they've had, or they may give too much information out. And the over 55s are most likely to be targeted. However, everyone is a potential target, and the population is ageing. For example, today I got a text message from my brother-in-law saying, can I help him out with something? I said, yes, of course. And then he said, oh, you're the only person on my Facebook friends list that I can send a code to. And instantly at that point, I knew that it was fraud. I realised it had come off his old Facebook account, and I blocked it and reported it. So it just goes to show how easy it is, no matter what the age is, to be targeted by these things. So unfortunately, scammers play on our natural human emotions. So as we get older, we do have more of a sense of fear. We have the fear of missing out of an opportunity. So it's sort of like, act now, fill this form in now, otherwise you won't be entitled to X, Y, or Z. We also have the fear of loss. So, if you don't act now, you might lose more. You might have to pay less if you act now, and the bill won't be so high. We also have the fear of not helping a loved one. So it's emotional blackmail. So a little bit like today with my text message from my brother-in-law, he is someone that I care for, and therefore, of course, I would want to help him. But that's where you've got to look out for those signs. And then we have the fear of authority. So you might get a fake text message or email from HMRC, from the NHS. Click this link to see you owe the tax man X amount of money. And it's that fear of, oh my God, this is a serious authority. I must reply, I must do it now, which is what the scammers play on. So there are a few different common scams. So you've got real life scams. We will go through these in more detail. We have home phone call scams, text and email scams, and online scams as well. So a real life example of scams is doorstep scams. So you may have heard of someone called the Nottingham Knockers. Doorstep scams work well. They'll walk around a local area, they'll knock on your door and they'll say, have noticed you've got a few broken tiles on your roof, or your driveway, or your paving has come up. We're working nearby, we've got spare materials, we thought we'd see if you'd like some help with that. They're always very friendly. They appear to, anyone that they're doing you a quick favour. We'll do it for this, we'll do it for this price, cheap, do it quickly, we'll be gone by tomorrow. So they'll always ask for cash while they start the work. However, they don't ever normally complete the work. Or what they do is they start the job, which is a small job, and it turns into a major job running into thousands of pounds. You end up with you need a whole new driveway, you need a new roof, your roof's leaking, which when they're then demanding for money can turn quite nasty. We, with these sorts of behaviours, we also have people that knock on the door to sell products, and what they're doing is they are assessing you as an individual, but also the property that you live in, to see if there's access points, to see if they can see any possessions, and really it is the potential for future burglary. They are also assessing you to see if they feel that there's that gullible level, in terms that you'll believe what they say, you trust them, which again is a worrying thing for the elderly, as, like I've said before, they tend to be a little bit more trusting. So we always say to people, please look out for this. If you do need work done to your house, or if somebody does come to your door and states this, say, no, thank you. And then what I would suggest doing is that you ring a trusted company to come and check what these people have said the issues are. Normally these consultations will be free, and they'll tell you, if they are a legitimate company, they will tell you yes or no, of whether you have these issues. We also have romance fraud. So this happens more and more now with online dating websites and social media. So they'll ask a lot of questions about you, and they will reveal very little about themselves. So they will avoid face-to-face, video calls, and they'll ask to keep relationships secret. And they'll give you very tough stories, very personal. The stories will touch your heart. They'll make you feel quite emotional. And what it is, it's an emotional blackmail. And with that then comes the request for money, which you would think that people wouldn't give over. However, 38% of people who dated someone they met online were asked for money, and over half of them who were asked for money said they gave it to them or lent it. You're not going to get this money back. This is romance fraud, this emotional blackmail. So that means that that's 20% of people that date online that have parted with money without even meeting these people in real life. They'll use statements such as they need to pay for something in an emergency, someone's travel, or to meet them, you have to make an investment in that person or their business. We also have parcel delivery scams. This is quite a big one nowadays. It will come from a mobile telephone number. It will say, for example, that Every or DPD or Royal Mail have your parcel, but you have to pay the unpaid shipping fee. And if you click on this link, you'll be able to put your details in, your bank details, and then that will be paid and your parcel will be sent to you. As you can see from these messages here, the Royal Mail isn't the domain royalmail.com. This is a made up website with, somebody else's bank account where you then type the details in and the money then will get shipped to them. It will then give them access to the money that you hold potentially within that bank account that you've put in. And then obviously, this is a numbers game. They send this to so many people. People will then put their details in, 299 times however many people, they're going to start to rack up that money. Bank scam is probably one of the larger ones as well. So you'll get a call saying that there's been fraud detected on your account. initially, this will put the sense of fear into anybody. People work hard for their money. You know, nobody wants their money just disappearing. They will then tell you that, you know, I don't know if anyone's seen the Barclays advert and how smart they are with their fraud. Not Barclays, but the people that obviously do it. Barclays are helping people to prevent that. The fraudsters will tell you to hang up and call the bank back to ensure that the issue is legitimate. However, there is a system that the scammer stays online. And when you re-ring, it will re-ring through to the scammer that you've just thought that you've hung up on. You know, you'll then ring back and they'll go, okay, no problem. Yep, this is Barclays, this is NatWest, wherever you bank. Can you key in your PIN number? And then we'll send a courier to collect your bank card. First of all, the bank will never ask you to put your PIN number into the phone. Secondly, they will also not ask you, they will not send a courier to pick up your bank card. What they will do, the scammers, they will also request that you urgently transfer your money to a safe account. This isn't a safe account, this is their bank account. This then gives them access to the money that you've transferred over, and that becomes quite tough to get back from the bank, the legitimate bank. We always say with this, and I will go through this at the end, there is a number that you can call in between hanging up and calling back the bank to make sure that the phone line is disconnected and it is a legitimate fraudulent activity on your account. You know, we then recommend again that you would go onto the, let's say, Barclays website and find their known telephone numbers. If you are suspicious that the call that you've received is not real, ring somebody else, you know, hang up, ring your mum, ring your, you know, whoever, ring your friend, and then call the number back of the known number. And what this does is it disconnects the lines because it's your phone would have recognised that it's somebody else that you've called back. Number one thing is please do not disclose your PIN to anybody, especially over the phone or online. We then have an impersonator scam. So this will be an email asking you to set up a payment for a new account or to amend an existing account of someone that you know. So it might be that you have a family member that's abroad, or a friend, or a big one is solicitors, especially when people are buying new houses and moving. So the text messages, the emails, they will be fake, but they will look very genuine. So it does also happen in businesses as well with employee bank details. You might get an email that you think looks very legitimate, very business headed. However, when you then click on the email address is a fake email address. So we would always say with anything like this, if you're trying to set up a new payment with a person or a company, ring the person or ring the company and go, hello, you know, is this legitimate? This has been raised. Is this what you want? They will then either tell you, no, we haven't, that's not us. And don't reply to the message or use the contact details included in that text message, email, phone number. Again, find the publicly available number and ring that number, as this will then also break the chain, especially on those phone calls. We then have calls which are claims, you know, they're preying on that fear, but it's the best opportunity ever. You know, they're from a share company. They'll, you know, do you like investing? Are you a good investor? Would you be interested in a share that's 100% safe, it will give you returns within the first year? This is pressured selling. They are preying on that sense of fear that you are going to miss out on this investment and potentially make more money. You know, I know that we say that money doesn't make the world go round. Money doesn't bring you happiness. However, everybody wants to be a little bit more financially secure, and potentially this would be their way in. But that pressured sell is what they're doing, is they're preying on that fear that we all have. Again, there's sometimes adverts on Facebook, targeted ads. You'll see that Google and Facebook and many different platforms are very clever now. The ads are targeted. So if you've clicked on and you've done your shopping on Marks and Spencer, so for example, you've bought some clothes for Christmas for someone, how the algorithm works is it automatically will then pull Marks and Spencer's through as an advert. They are genuine adverts. However, these sorts of adverts are, again, pressured selling. It's on an offer. The offer ends in X amount of time. This is how many people are looking at this item. Buy now, buy now, buy now. Looks great, got all different sizes, all different colours. You think, oh yeah, that's what I want. Perfect for your husband for holiday. Nice linen shirt. So you buy it, and then what turns up is not what you paid your money for. It's poorly made. It's probably been, shipped in bulk. It isn't a legitimate clothing fashion house, and you've technically wasted your money. You've still got the item. So from the pressured selling point of view, they've still done their side of things, but you haven't got what you were led to believe was real. So we always say to people, buy from legitimate places. Don't be forced into this pressured selling adverts. Another big fraudulent activity is Microsoft, and they people claim to be Microsoft to gain remote access to your PC to fix a problem that you might have. Allowing them this access allows them to obtain sensitive data from your computer. So lots of people nowadays have the passwords that are saved into their computer so that when they log on, they buy things. It could be anything from their online banking to their Tesco account. What it will do is they'll be able to pull this information off. They can then introduce ransomware, which basically means that you will not be able to see what they are doing. So they'll block certain things, and they'll be doing the fraudulent activity their side, but your computer will still be working for what you think perfectly well. Fake internet and broadband providers will also use this tactic. Again, this is just to obtain that sensitive data. So one top tip is Microsoft will not ring you if there is a problem with your computer. There is a Microsoft help desk if you have an issue. I would also say if you do have a problem with your computer, there are so many computer companies, like local companies, where they can fix computers. They'll have a look at it, take it to one of those, find one online and take it to them. I know, for example, there's one nearby where I live. He can rebuild computers. He can pretty much do anything. He can get into locked computers. That's if you have a problem, take it to someone like that. Do not ever allow anyone to get remote access to your PC, because once they're in, they will be able to see everything. Again, we're going back to this fear element. It preys on the fear that, HMRC and government departments, we all have this natural fear of the taxman, that they're going to come and whack a massive bill on us and go, you owe us £3,000, your tax hasn't been put through properly. So naturally, if you have that, or again, you get a message saying that you're entitled to a tax refund. Again, great, I'd love £300 just before Christmas. Well, let me click on this link, let me fill this detail in, and then the tax refund will come. This isn't the case. One thing to know with HMRC, and especially government departments, they will send you a letter, and HMRC will tell you when either you owe them tax or they owe you a tax rebate. And again, it will always fall into those the financial year. So April is the financial year, end of the financial year, so that's when you would then expect a letter from them. Please do not follow those links that you get sent by text message or email address. Again, this is what it will look like, especially when we had the energy rebates when people are paying too much energy. You know, type the bank details in. Oh, lovely job, now they have all access to your bank details. So again, wait for letters to be sent for things like this. So we're going to run through quickly how to keep yourself safe against fraudulent activity and scams. I've touched on it a little bit, but we'll go into a little bit more detail. So, for example, at home, if you want to protect your house, you'll install an alarm. Again, you can do the same thing on a computer. You can get software which will protect you against fraudulent activity. You know, for example, here we've put Norton, McAfee. There's lots of different versions that you can have. If you want information about that, you can Google, or another place, if you wanted to go talk to someone, you know, Currys, they offer that sort of protection as well, and someone will go through it with you. Again, this is an example of an email address that is not, you know, this is not a legitimate email address. Your email account will tell you, you know, we cannot identify verify the identity of this sender. It's different than the normal sender, and that's because it's not a legitimate email address. It's someone trying to gain information. And normally on your email account, there'll be a little phishing button. If you click on this email and then click phishing, what it does is it then sends it to your IT company or whoever that provider is, and then they can look into getting it blocked, getting it reported, so that other people in the business don't fall for this fake email address. Again, if you go onto the internet and there's a website or you follow a link, it may come up and say, visiting, you know, this is not a legitimate website. Especially when making a payment. If you're ever making a payment online, when you go to make the payment, there'll always be a little lock. That means that nobody else at that moment, when you're making that payment with your card, with your bank card, nobody else can see it. If that lock isn't there, do not make a payment, because this means that other people can see as you're typing in your bank card number, they will be able to see that. But yeah, when you're going on a website and it comes up untrustworthy, do not carry on following that link. Come off of it, close your web browser down, and, you know, Google the one that you want, and that is the legitimate one. We always recommend using strong passwords and different passwords as well. You know, we've all done it. We all have the same password for every single thing, got the same PIN number for every single thing. And that is quite dangerous, because once a fraudster and someone who initiates scams finds that information, they'll be able to log into everything. So we definitely recommend having, especially for your bank account, have a different email address, have a different password, have a different PIN number from anything else. So, for example, here, you know, we've taken the first letter of my daughter Tabitha was born in 2006, exclamation mark. So it then becomes capital M, D, capital T, WBI, 2006, exclamation mark. We always recommend do not use your own date of birth, because that's just, you know, and first names, last names, it's just easy, it's predictable. Also avoid using 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, anything like that as PIN numbers, because they're easy, or 4 zeros, they're easy to just pop in. You know, people remember those ones. Again, lots of online portals, websites nowadays will ask you to do a 2-factor authentication. We recommend that you set this up and you do this. It gives you that other level of protection other than your password, because what it does is it links up your phone or your email address, and it will send you a text message on email with a 6-digit code, which is only available for a certain amount of time. So normally they're available for about 10 minutes. You'll get that, you'll pop that code in there, and then you'll click submit. It's just another barrier against that fraudulent activity. We always say if you get calls through your home phone or your mobile number, please feel free to be rude to them. they are trying to get details out, out of you. We say hang up or, leave the phone on hold, because again, it charges them to ring you, it doesn't charge you, it charges them. So, rack that bill up for them. But, feel free to go, no, thank you, and put the phone down. Please don't click on any website links that don't look genuine. Again, check phone numbers are genuine online on the trusted websites before calling back. Look carefully at emails, text numbers, and website addresses, because it will, there'll be weird numbers in it. It won't be from at marksandspencers.com. It'll be from marks234spence625.com. That isn't Marks and Spencer's email address. We always also recommend using credit cards on online payments online. It gives you an extra level of protection. It's easier for the banks to get money back through a credit card than it is a debit card. It will give you that extra form of protection against fraudulent behaviour. You can also join telephone and mail preference services, and they will stop unwanted calls coming from genuine companies, but it will also not necessarily stop fraudsters. So in a recent project where call blocker devices were installed in the homes of those experiencing scam calls, 95% of the applicants who previously felt threatened did not feel scared by the scams calls. You can buy a call screener device. They're about £100 roughly. You can then plug your landline into it, and what it does is it stops those calls coming through. Please do not provide personal information in a call that you did not initiate, and also shred or destroy documents at home that contain sensitive information. So letters from the bank, letters from HMRC, obviously once you've actioned them. But yeah, do not just put them in your bin. This is what I was talking about earlier. When you get a call from saying that you've had fraudulent activity on your bank account, if you hang up and then call us back and it still connects to the fraudster on the other line, there is a website called Stop Scams UK, and what they tell you to do is stop, hang up, and then call 159. This will then allow you to talk directly to your bank. It will connect you directly to your bank. There will be a call handler on the other line. They will ask you some details, but this will then send you straight to your bank, and they will then tell you, no, we haven't rung you. This is definitely going to be a scam on the other line. There is also, with Independent Age, there is a scams guide, so how to spot, avoid and reporting scams. They go through security do's and don'ts, who is targeted by the scammers, scams to watch out for, what to do if you've been scammed or if you think somebody else has been scammed. And that is how to protect yourself against scams. If anybody does have any questions or would like to send some feedback, you can send an email to my email address, which is stephanie.turner@ascot.homeinstead.co.uk, and we'll be willing to go through this again with anybody who needs this information or is worried about someone who's been potentially affected by scams, or if you've been affected by scams and fraudulent activity yourself. But that is all from me. Thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And like I say, if you do have any questions, please get into contact with us. Have a lovely day and stay safe. Thank you. Bye.